Hi, everybody. I've been watching Medtech about this much less than Mike Berman has. So I need panelists. Do we have panelists? I can moderate. I can tell you about the stock market if you want. Here we go. Hi. So one thing while we're getting gathered here that we want to do is, first off, this is going to be about taking some of the things that Steve was talking about as far as what's going on in the future and how we're going to do this, and a lot of what we spent the morning and early afternoon talking about, and that is the merger of what, information technology with med technology. So this is going to be another discussion of that, but I've done a lot of healthcare conferences in my career, but I have to admit, this is a stellar. We have GE, Intel, Qualcomm, and West Wireless here, and this is, to me, I was excited and volunteered to moderate this because I think this is the future. Remember, I'm the stock market. Long-term thinking for me is what's going to happen on Monday kind of thing. But when you think out to what's going to happen over the next 5 years, over the next 10 years, and how Intel has a health group, Qualcomm has a health group, Microsoft has a, these guys have health groups. Do the Medtechs have IT tech for the future groups? So we have to think about that and how we're going to merge it. It's the chip that went inside of a pacemaker 15, 20 years ago was maybe 2 to 3 years behind the cutting edge chips. Now I think the distance has lengthened here, and Medtech's going to need to catch up what they're doing with their devices to get into the information and technology group. So we're going to do this in two parts. Number one is introduce a group of people that I think have been working a long time in healthcare, but maybe not as familiar to you. And then second, we're going to give it to you to do the Q&A. And think about it. I'm going out in the audience. We're going to make this interactive and find out what we can from the big brains in technology. So with that, who we got up first? Go for it. Do your, are you mic'd?
From here?
Yeah.
So I'm Bobby Kandaswamy with Untitled Chapter. So I manage our healthcare investments. Are we using slides or? Yep. Thank you. So I'll talk for a couple of minutes about Untitled Capital and then go into details of our healthcare strategy and focus areas and give you a snapshot of our portfolio as well. So for those of you who don't know about Untitled Capital, so we are the venture investment arm of Intel Corporation. Intel is our only LP, so basically invest out of Intel's balance sheet. Think of us as an evergreen fund. And the underlying motivation for our investments is to help grow the businesses for Intel, right? So furthering our strategic interests and by making financially attractive investments. Over the years, we've been doing this for the last 15 or 20 years almost. What's come through is the ideal investment is the intersection of strategic and financial fit. And we are a truly stage agnostic investor, go anything from a seed or a Series A all the way to mezzanine rounds and on a limited basis public companies. So what we look for in our investments basically is the same thing most others do with the addition of the strategic engagement with Intel. We particularly pay emphasis on the technology and the management teams and look at large market opportunities. The next slide sort of shows our global presence. We are truly global. More than half of our dollars go outside the US. And we've done investments in about 51 different countries to date. So this is what we did in last year and historically. So basically about $500 million, give or take, plus or minus $100 million is what we do on an annualized basis. So when you look at the traditional venture fund, in a fairly large and fairly diversified investment interests, and healthcare is one portion of this. As I mentioned, half of the deals that we've done are outside the US and have had a reasonable amount of exits, IPOs and acquisitions. So the next couple of foils will talk to you about healthcare and what are the emerging trends that we see in healthcare that aligns with our businesses. Essentially, think of Intel as in the computing and communications business, and the overlay or intersection of those two with healthcare is where our interests and opportunities lay. Some of the core trends that we believe are changing the shape of healthcare, which you've heard through the course of the day, essentially around aging. You'll see a couple of charts that show how dramatically the population will change over the next 20 to 30 years and the resulting impact on the delivery of healthcare. The move from sort of specialty solo care into collaborative care models, payment reform, which we've heard quite a bit about, moving from pay for volume to pay for value, and then the whole personalization aspect where it's not population-based studies, but individualized care models, and medicine being personalized to a level where it's unique to me, not just what meets 60% of the population. And then lastly, the proactive consumers, which you heard again multiple times. So basically, we believe this is a very large vertical that can benefit out of the use of IT, and we can play a role in that. The next two charts I'll just quickly go through, but take a look at this. This is as of 2002, and about 10% of the people over 60, worldwide, 60 plus population is about 10%, right? And you fast forward to 2050, and that's a pretty dramatic change. So, all of the mature markets that we call today, US, Canada, Europe, Australia, and Japan, in purple, so more than 30% of the population is going to be above age 60. So this will require innovation in the care models and things that need to be done for providing the quality of life that everyone is looking for. So what's the role of Intel and software, right? So this chart, we put that together just to show how data is today and where the data models are moving towards. Essentially, if you look at what we have today, are islands of data with significant delay times, untagged, lots of data being collected, but not any useful interpretations being made. We see that sort of evolving into a connected data model across organizations and firewalls in real time with complex bandwidth availability, LTE or 4G being available, making real-time data and communications available. Tag data that helps you drive both decision making and analysis in real time on an individualized basis. So what's the underlying thing behind all of this data communication? Sort of three things, right? There's security, there's manageability, and then interoperability, which are all required to make this data spiral happen. And we believe there's a role for us to play here. I'll skip this chart, but essentially, take this as 4 places where Intel's actively working with all of the major players in the ecosystem. And most of the focus today is on the left 2 bars, essentially around collection of data and coordination. And the future work will have to be around support and personalization for making this happen. I'll leave you with one last slide, which is this is a snapshot of our portfolio today. A couple of the companies, and Sotera Wireless is here today, I think, on the panel. Tom Watlington is here, and a number of other companies ranging from PacBio on the medical research, molecular diagnostics side to pure healthcare IT play like Bsoft and PAC's solution out in Brazil called Pixion. So that's sort of an overview of Intel Capital. I'll pass it on to Mohit.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mo. I head up the BD and strategy group of the West Health Initiative, and we do a range of things. We innovate and incubate technologies internally. We have a policy center. We also have an external fund with 6 companies.